7 years, 22,500 games, and a whole bunch of beating my head against a brick wall playing World of Tanks console. And today's video is going to showcase what you can expect from World of Tanks console, what you actually expect from World of Tanks in general, and how Wargaming developed the game, whether you want to actually invest your time into the game itself, and yeah, we'll give a brief overview. Obviously, I think we'll start off with just statistics of the game, and yeah, after 7 years you'd expect with someone that's played 22,500 games, well 22,900 to be exact, that they'd be somewhat decent at the game, and I guess that is the case, at least with the win rates that you can see on screen right here. Obviously we can go through a couple of different things that you can see. You can pause the video at any point and check out specific tanks. Obviously we've managed to grind through a whole lot of tech tree lines, but even after 7 years we've not actually managed to get the total tanks within the game in terms of the tech tree, so we've not managed to get all of the tier 10s within the game. I'm sure if we really did focus on only playing tanks which we could research, then maybe I would have been able to do it by this point, but you can see we've got fairly close to a lot of the tier 10s, especially on the American line, having nearly got all of them except from the M48 pattern. Obviously we can buy the other two tanks, although they are tanks that I don't think are particularly very good within the game. Obviously let me know what your kind of play style, because I guess in terms of my audience, I don't know how many games you played. Are you a new player? Do you play on the regular, or are you a player that's like me, played 7+ years, 6+ years, but a long time at least playing a video game consistently? And I guess that's why Wargaming are worth so much. I think they're $1 billion company. Yeah, I wonder why not all of those premium tanks that you can see over here by any chance, is it? Anyway, regardless of the premium tanks, obviously we've managed to go through a lot of the tech tree lines, but you can see it's really halted down in this last couple of years, I guess, where I've been having to swap around, do loads of different videos on various different tanks, and obviously that kind of halts the progression, whereas before I would be able to just play a singular tank line and then grind up that towards the end. Obviously you can see here all of the tier 10s that I actually own. I do have ones that I can purchase back. I'm looking at potentially purchasing the Waffenträger Alpha E100 back into the game. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. I think this tank is awful, but we'll give it once again a turn, at least within the videos. And of course then we've got the Grilla 15 that we'll be reviewing hopefully soon. If you haven't checked out the Borsig video that I did the other day, that was a really good one. My Dirty Secret is what it's called. And yeah, this tank is actually such a great tech tree tank that you can purchase and grind towards. I would 100% recommend it. The whole tank line up to the Waffenträger Alpha Panzer IV is actually not too bad. In fact, the Stura Meal with the top gun is actually really good as well. Obviously, we're still going towards things like the Jaegeru, the Maus, stuff like that is kind of traditional World of Tanks, I guess. And obviously, the German line has been one I've kind of neglected, and that's one I'll be looking to kind of push out in these next couple of kind of months. And hopefully you'll see that in the content. Obviously, what we're going to be trying to do within this next year is just push out as many videos as possible that are kind of new, novel and exciting. You've seen quite possibly kind of a difference in the way that I've been doing the videos. We're kind of trying out new tank builds, trying to make it a little bit more interesting than just, here you go, here's a 6k damage game in a tier 10 tank that, doesn't take too long to be able to get. And yeah, I guess it's more interesting for you guys to watch, at least that's my opinion. But obviously leave your comments in the comment section down below, and of course you can suggest things. I always take suggestions from the comment section to have a look through, decide what the next videos are going to be. It might not be straight away that I do the video, but I kind of have a whole list of tanks that I'll go through and things to kind of think about in the meantime whilst creating some of the videos that I do. Obviously, I can't do videos on tanks I don't own, at least not currently. I'm trying to kind of get that potentially with Wargaming. I don't know whether they'll ever do that, whether I'll be able to have some sort of account where I can just go on and play the various different tanks. Obviously not my own account, but it will allow me to then make videos on tanks you guys actually want to see within the game, which would be much better, at least in my opinion. Obviously you can see all of the tanks that we own, and yeah, I guess one thing that we can kind of talk about is the premium tanks, and these have certainly increased exponentially within these last couple of years because of all of the premium tanks that Wargaming have been releasing. And let me just say, I think I've only probably actually spent maybe, I don't know, £100, maybe £200 maximum on the game in total over the 7 years, and you can see the result of what we've managed to get. I very rarely buy premium tanks. I think I've only ever bought premium tanks maybe 4 times, which was in fact some of the worst premium tanks that I have, at least currently. Things like the CDC I bought, I think then the M4A1 Revoluizo was an earn operation back in the day. We've got plenty of tanks that I did actually kind of earn, same with the Hammer. All of these tanks are kind of ones that you just generate over time, and you can expect to do the exact same. Did purchase the Panzer V4, obviously the broken tank that still is in the game and hasn't been nerfed. And you can see just some tanks that are just ones that I really do enjoy, and they typically are ones that are kind of novel, unique, and not necessarily something that you'd expect, like the Alf Claring's Panzer Panther, which is a fantastic light tank, and I would 100% recommend actually trying this thing out, especially with a ramming build, 72 kilometers an hour with a Panther hull against other light tanks. Yeah, it doesn't go very well for the other tanks in the game. Obviously, I think what we'll kind of swing back around and talk about is obviously the development cycle and whether it's worth investing your time, because I'm not going to lie, I have spent over 120 days of actual time playing World of Tanks console. 120 days, not in-game days, and it's not 120 days of logging in, it's literally That's 120 times 24 hours. Yeah, a long time playing this game, and that is something that you will notice if you actually want to get anywhere, and if you want to have an account that's kind of somewhat similar to what we've got going on here within this video. And is it really worth it at the end of the day to be spending so much time? I guess it's up to you. Do you actually enjoy it? Are you just doing it so that you can have a load of premium tanks in your garage that no one actually cares about in terms of realistically anyway, and that's something you have to kind of weigh up if you're deciding to invest time into this game. It does take a long time to really get anywhere, especially if you're grinding through the tech trees, and let's be honest, when you have to go through tanks like the T28 and the T25/2, yeah, it's very painful, and you'll spend a lot of time playing in a terrible tank that you really just want the next one in the line. So there's always that. You know, pick tanks that you're actually going to want to play. Don't just be silly and pick a tank line just because you think the end tank is going to be good. You know, pick something that you'll enjoy. Try and enjoy the game, and if you're not enjoying it, I wouldn't recommend playing this. Yeah, the longer you play it, the more invested you get, and I'm sure if you're a veteran player of World of Tanks, you'll know exactly what I mean. And if you check the comment section, for those of you who aren't, I'm sure you see plenty of comments saying I wish I never bothered, and I wish I didn't spend as much money as they probably have, and even £200 on this game is quite a lot. It's very easy to do, even with the small amounts of money that you spend on the game. I think that it's become less and less imperative for you to purchase premium tanks, which is always a good thing, because you know you've got things like the season pass. It's always really good to get those sort of things within the game. I've also got things like, you know, the bundles. They've been getting better in terms of what you actually receive a lot of the time. Back in the day, you used to literally spend like £35 for one premium tank. It's kind of moving back in that direction with a lot of the things going on right now. Things like the Charlemagne, and some of the bundles are just terrible. But yeah, it's really down to your personal preference whether you spend money. If you wait long enough, you definitely get good bundles. It's just a case of actually waiting and not just being silly and spending your money on like some of the more expensive bundles, especially heavy tank ones at that. Obviously, I think, you know, when we're looking through World of Tanks and whether it's actually something that I feel like is worth it on console, especially if you have a PC that is capable of playing World of Tanks PC. I think that this is definitely the more casual game. Obviously, it has now recently added Cold War mode in the last year, so we're able to actually try out some more new novel tanks than you will be able to on any of the other World of Tanks versions within the game. It's slowly getting better. It's kind of growing on me a little bit, but it's one of those things where it takes a long time to kind of go through just because of the silver required to actually progress within the mode, but it's something that is kind of similar to the standard game mode, but it's difficult for me as a content creator that literally has to spend every single moment of my time when I come home from work, spending my time grinding out different videos, trying to play different tanks, get footage for all of that sort of stuff. So it makes it really difficult to just grind one specific tank continuously to be able to then progress up the tech tree. So that's something I'm kind of hoping I'll be able to do eventually, but yeah, and hopefully Wargaming can help out with providing some sort of way that we'll be able to just review the tanks that you guys want to see, because I'm sure some of you who watch Cold War content will want to be able to see things like the M1A2 Abrams or the Challenger 2, but it's just so far away from me at the minute. 1.245 million XP. It's going to take me a long time to be able to get there, and I certainly don't have the silver, if you can see in the top right hand corner, to be able to do that easily, at least with the current amount of silver that we have. Obviously you can see all of the premium Cold War vehicles, which definitely help out with the silver earning, 500,000 silver a game if you have a good one. But yeah, something I've been enjoying, something I'm getting used to, and you can kind of see that with some of the content that's been coming out. I don't mind testing out some of these tanks, and I've recently purchased the M24 Chaffee, which is awful, at least the standard package of the tank, as we're slowly grinding our way up through the actual packages themselves, costing an arm and a leg to be able to purchase, the Top Gun 1.9 million silver. Ouch, it's going to be difficult. Obviously, let me know what you think of Cold War, World War II. We did a video recently on that, and it's kind of a video where we can kind of generate all of the ideas, thoughts and opinions about World of Tanks console, and hopefully you've got a glimpse as to what you can expect from the game. There's plenty of things that go wrong, there's plenty of things that kind of go right. The introduction of mercenary tanks, for example, was something that was terrible in the beginning, slowly got a little bit better. They've kind of looked at the tanks, rebalanced a couple of them, it's looking genuinely a little bit up for console, and you can see by the player numbers we've got currently 15,000 online right now, and that's like 9 o'clock at night as of the recording of this video, so it's looking fairly decent. We've been seeing peaks of like 20,000 players online at one time, which is one of the highest I've seen in quite a while, probably not the highest I've ever seen. A couple years ago, maybe 5 years ago, you used to see like 35,000 people playing at one time, which is definitely a decline, but hopefully after update 6.0 and all of that chaos out of the window, it's definitely looked a lot better, and I'm enjoying kind of playing World of Tanks again. Maybe not as much as I once did at the very beginning when you're kind of excited and you can play all of the different tank lines, but it's slowly coming back, so hopefully that's very good. Hopefully you leave your comments in the comment section down below as to how many years you've played, and if you've made it this far in the video, make sure to tell me exactly what you play the game for. Is it the game's damage? Is it community? Is it friends? What are you actually playing the game for? Thank you very much for watching. Obviously this is kind of what you can expect from 7 years, and hopefully it is just giving you a little bit of a picture as to the sort of progression you can expect, how good you can kind of expect to be at the game after playing so many games, and how many hours you actually have to play to be able to have got to this point, at least similarly to me. And yeah, definitely a long time, 100 and something days actual in-game time, probably like 140 by now. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Thank you for joining me in this video, and I hope you'll join me in the next one where we've got plenty of gameplay and we'll be checking out the worst tank within World of Tanks console, at least it was previously. Thank you, goodbye.